Welcome to CAN, Caribbean Affiliate News. My name is Siobhan Gubin. Here are the stories that we're following today, July 29, 2013. In international news, at least 37 dead after bus plunges off highway in southern Italy. Spanish train driver charged with multiple counts of negligent homicide. Death toll climbs as clashes continue in Egypt. Gunman in Florida standoff set fire to apartment before rampage. Details on these headlines and more when we return.
I can't believe your mom let you take your car out. This is awesome.
It's time to grow.
You're crazy.
Little while
Go faster. Stop.
it'll all be alright.
I raised my son to be careful,
Hey, sweetie.
but just to be safe,
So don't you worry.
I got a Subaru.
Love. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
Coleman Subaru, 1710 North Alden Avenue, Ewing, New Jersey, or colemansubaru.com.
Welcome back to CAN, Caribbean Affiliate News. My name is Siobhan Gubin. This segment of the news is sponsored by Total Caribbean Network. A tour bus filled with Italians plunged off a highway and fell into a ravine in southern Italy on Sunday night, killing at least 37 people, police and rescuers said. Reports said as many as 49 people had been aboard the bus when it ripped through a guardrail after slamming into cars slowed down by traffic, then plunged some 30 meters off the highway and into a ravine near a wooded area. In its plunge, the bus tore away whole sections of concrete barriers as well as guardrail. The concrete lay in large chunks in a clearing in a wooded area where the bus landed. State radio quoted Avellino police as saying the bus driver was among the dead. The bus lost control near the town of Monteforte, Irpino in Irpinia, a large agricultural area about 40 miles inland from Naples and about 250 kilometers south of Rome. Rescuers wielding electric saws cut through the twisted metal seeking for survivors inside the mangled bus, stopping occasionally in silence to listen for any cries for help, even as the bodies were put into coffins to be taken to a morgue. The radio report said 11 people were hospitalized with injuries, 2 of them in critical condition. It was not immediately known if there were other survivors or any missing. Flashing signs near Avellino outside Naples had warned of slowed traffic ahead along a stretch of a major highway crossing southern Italy before the crash occurred, said highway police and officials speaking on state radio. It was not immediately clear why the bus driver lost control of the vehicle. A reporter for the daily newspaper said that seen from some witnesses told him the bus had been going at a normal speed on the downhill stretch of the highway when it suddenly veered and started hitting cars. He said some witnesses thought they heard a noise as if the bus had blown a tire. Hours after the crash, firefighters said that they had extracted 37 bodies. Most of the dead were found inside the mangled bus, which lay on its side, while a few of the victims were pulled out from underneath the wreckage. Occupants of cars which were hit by the bus stood on the highway near their vehicles. One car's rear was completely crumbled, while another was smashed on its side. It was not immediately known if anyone in those cars had been injured. Early reports said the passengers had spent the day in Puglia, an area near the Adriatic on the east coast famed by religious shrines. But on Monday, a state radio report at the scene said authorities told him that the bus had been bringing the passengers home after an outing to a thermal spa area near Benevento, a town not far from Avellino. Others at the scene said the passengers might have visited another nearby town, Benevento, which was the early home of Padre Pio, a late mystic monk popular among Catholics in Italy. Passengers came from small towns and relatives streamed to the crash site. The driver of a Spanish train that derailed at high speed, killing 79 people, was provisionally charged Sunday with multiple cases of negligent homicide. A court statement said investigative magistrate Luis Alaez released Francisco Jose Garzon Amo without bail. The statement said Garzon must appear in court once in a week and is forbidden to leave Spain without permission. Garzon was not sent to jail or required to post bail because none of the parties involved felt there was a risk of him fleeing or attempted to destroy evidence, the statement said. It said the train driver's license had also been withdrawn. Garzon was questioned for almost 2 hours at the court in Santiago de Compostela, the northwestern town near where the accident occurred. Garzon was driving the train carrying 218 passengers in 8 cars that hurtled far over the 80 kilometers per hour speed limit into a high-risk curve on Wednesday evening, tumbling off the tracks and slamming into a concrete wall with some of the cars catching fire. The Spanish rail agency has said the brakes should have been applied 4 kilometers before the train hit the curve. However, a local resident who rushed to the scene of the accident said in an interview broadcast Sunday that minutes after the crash, Garzon had told him he had been going fast and couldn't brake. The resident, Evaristo Iglesias, said he and another person accompanied the blood-soaked Garzon to flat ground where other injured people were being laid out waiting for emergency services to arrive. In its reports about the accident, Antena 3 television showed a photograph of Iglesias in a pink shirt and cap helping to carry the driver after the train accident. The station also aired television footage of Iglesias working beside the wrecked train to help other survivors. Iglesias was among the survivors and witnesses who began to give evidence to police on Sunday. Investigators must determine if Garzon failed to apply the brakes or whether it was a technical failure. Spain's state-run train company has described him as an experienced driver who knew the route well. On Sunday, the death toll from the train derailment rose to 79 when an injured passenger died at the University Hospital in Santiago de Compostela. She was identified as American Myrta Fariza of Houston, her family said in a statement. Fariza's friends and family had created a Facebook page while she was hospitalized titled Hope for Myrta, where they collected donations and exchanged messages. Officials said 70 people injured in the train accident remained hospitalized, 22 of them in critical condition. Meanwhile, authorities said forensic experts have identified the last 3 bodies among the 79 dead. Victims have been reported from Algeria, Brazil, and Dominican Republic, France, Italy, Mexico, and the United States, but officials have not publicly identified each victim or his or her nationality. Mourning continued throughout Spain, with Sunday's church services being held in remembrance of the dead. A large funeral mass is planned for Monday afternoon in Santiago de Compostela, and the Prime Minister and members of the royal family are expected to attend. The crash has cast a pall over the town, a Catholic pilgrimage site. Santiago officials had been preparing for the religious feast of St. James of Compostela, Spain's patron saint, the day after the crash, but cancelled it and turned a local sporting arena into a morgue. Escalating the confrontation after clashes that left 83 supporters of Egypt's ousted Islamist president dead, the interim government moved Sunday toward dismantling 2 pro-Mohamed Morsi sit-in camps, accusing protesters of terrorism and vowing to deal with them decisively. Morsi's Muslim Brotherhood denounced Saturday's bloodshed as evidence of the brutality of the military-backed regime. But many accused the group's leaders of trying to capitalize on the loss of life to win sympathy after millions took to the streets in a show of support for the military chief who ousted Morsi in a coup. General Abdel Fattah el-Sisi said he would take the popular support as a mandate to deal with violence and potential terrorism. A thinly veiled reference to a widely expected crackdown on Morsi supporters in the sit-in camps in Cairo and against radical Islamists in the Sinai Peninsula who have been waging deadly attacks against security forces since Morsi was ousted in July 3rd military coup. The coup followed days of mass protests by millions of Egyptians demanding that Morsi step down after a year in office as Egypt's first elected president. The month-long sit-ins have been the launch pad of a street protest that often ended violently when Morsi supporters clashed with opponents or security forces. Islamists led by the Brotherhood staunchly reject the new post-Morsi leadership and insist the only possible solution to the crisis is to reinstate him. Meanwhile, the interim leadership is pushing ahead with a fast-track transition plan to return to a democratically elected government by early next year. The Brotherhood, accused by critics of trying to monopolize power during Morsi's year in office, routinely claims its supporters are killed in cold blood by army troops, police or thugs sponsored by the Interior Ministry, which is in charge of police. However, witnesses and videos posted on social networking sites show that Morsi supporters consistently use rocks, firebombs, and firearms against opponents who behave similarly. The Brotherhood's tactic is clearly designed to win sympathy at home and abroad by portraying itself as a victimized party pitted against an army and a police force armed to the teeth. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon also asked security forces to act with full respect for human rights and demonstrators to exercise restraint. Catherine Ashton, the EU's foreign policy chief, arrived in Cairo on Sunday for her second visit to Egypt this month, a sign of the alarm felt in the West over the continuing bloodshed. She was to meet with Egyptian leaders today. The UN's Human Rights Chief, Navi Pillay, also condemned the violence and called for credible independent investigations into the killings. You are watching Caribbean Affiliate News. We will be right back.
Government say it's all about the food. August the 10th. Foreigners welcome to the land of oil dung. Beers and strong rum, girls hot and can done. It's all about the food. Oil Dung Fest, August 10th. Lava Man, I'm in the place.